Thank you all for coming out and being with us today, and I particularly want to thank Leader Global Technologies for allowing us to come and use the facilities and the men and women who work here and who create jobs, risk their capital, and help give Texans the opportunity to take care of their families with the jobs that are created here. And with that as the backdrop, last week the federal government flexed its muscles yet again and sent the very clear message that it will just not tolerate any divergence from its own policies, period. No matter how many jobs their draconian policies and zealous actions might kill, or for that matter how successful the system that there has been. The EPA wants to call the shots, all of the shots. The EPA is seeking to federalize our state's 16-year-old clean air permitting program, which was put in place under Governor Ann Richards and which was approved by the Clinton administration. Under this program, Texas has been among the nation's leaders in cleaning the air, slashing ozone levels by 22%, reducing NOx gas emissions by 46% since 2000. Now, to put that in context, ozone levels across the country during the same period dropped just 8%. NOx emissions dropped by 27%. Carbon dioxide emissions in Texas have fallen more than any other state in the nation except for Louisiana, and more than any other country except Germany. All major Texas cities are currently meeting the 1997 8-hour ozone standard, with the exception of Dallas-Fort Worth, which is within 1 part per billion of compliance. Data indicates Houston met this standard for the very first time just last year. Today, every county in Texas is within the federal standards for fine particulate matter, which targets pollutants with the greatest effect on human health. Simply put, the air in Texas is cleaner. At the same time we've cleaned the air, Texas has been a national leader in job creation. We have handled the increased demands of 3.5 million new Texans. That's roughly 1,000 people a day that have moved into this state. Our common sense approach works because it avoids the damage caused by rampant overregulation, the kind of which Washington seems to delight. It's no wonder the current EPA leadership has a problem with what we're doing. In their eyes, we have committed the worst possible sin of being not in compliance with federal regulations. Now, taking it face value, this is a blatant example of their obsession with red tape, and they are indifferent to real results. Their reaction is part of a continuing and troubling pattern in which Washington isn't happy unless they are in total control of everything, from health care to unemployment benefits to the education of our children. This administration seems to think that it's their way or the highway. Their way is the only way. They'll punish anyone who believes differently, whether their approach is working or not. Unfortunately, in this case, the people that they are punishing are the 30,000 or so Texans whose jobs are at risk if the EPA completes this takeover. They're not only punishing those Texans directly employed by the energy industry and those indirectly employed, such as our host here today at Leader Global Technologies, but also the communities and the schools that depend on the revenue that are generated by the energy industry. That's the reason you see these locally elected officials that are here today, the state representatives, the county commissioner. That's the impact that this is going to have outside of just the jobs, is the revenue that will be impacted in a very negative way that go to these local communities. They're punishing consumers. You can expect to see resources to dwindle, prices to go up because of this latest approach that the EPA is taking. I have called upon President Obama directly to rein in the EPA, to put a stop to yet another federal power grab so that Texans can keep growing our economy and building a cleaner, more prosperous future for our children. I'd like to get Mark Vickery to give the perspective of the TCEQ. Mark is the executive director of that agency, and so Mark, if I could, if you'd come up please. Mark Vickery, the executive director of the TCEQ.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you again, Governor. I'd like to take this opportunity to stress a couple of points that reiterate what the Governor said in his remarks. First, I'm proud of the tremendous strides the state of Texas, the citizens of our great state, the regulated community, and us as regulators have made in cleaning up the air in Texas and maintaining a sustainable economic environment at the same time. Second, it's ironic that as we speak here today, my commissioners back in Austin are literally in the process of adopting 2 new rule packages designed to address concerns of EPA. The Commission will be adopting those today, and in 2 weeks we'll be proposing additional rules to address our flexible permitting program. We're making these proposals on an expedited schedule, a schedule that was agreed upon and supported by EPA. Unfortunately, more often than not, we are learning of EPA's position on our rule proposals through the media, just like all of you are. EPA is already telegraphing that they will disapprove our rule changes even before they've seen them. With regard to our flexible permit program, it appears that EPA is objecting to our rules by staking out a position: we simply don't like your rules. With that said, I'm eager to get back to the drawing board and have constructive law and science-based discussions with EPA. These discussions that should have been finished 16 years ago. We have spent the better part of a year trying to explain our program to EPA so that we can have constructive discussions on how to address their concerns. But it becomes increasingly clear that EPA's recent action, their only focus is on additional federal control. I'm hopeful that cooler heads will prevail, that these concerns over a very successful program will end, and hopefully events like this today will help shed light on our successes and the dangers of losing our innovative approaches. Governor, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.